Back again. SandCity in the building. A little bit closer of a shot. I don't mind it. But let's go around and see where we are. Had some technical difficulties. All right, IG back again. Twitter and IG, good. Why am I over here? Just got to get rid of a couple things. All right. Let's check here. Okay, YouTube is back. Back in order where it needs to be. All right. We got a little bit of a hiccup here technically, but I think we are on point. Let's come back over here. This is good. We can go. All right, YouTube is all set. Thank you so much. Extra account over here. How's everybody doing as we meaning I, work out some of the technical difficulties, get like they're supposed to be. All right, all right. Okay, so we're good here. Taking 3 minutes to iron these technical difficulties out. The YouTube, as we said, is good. Twitter is good. IG, Twitch is good. Facebook, we're still not on speaking terms. Hopefully, we're getting there. All right, and just organize a couple other things. All righty. Okay. We are in order. And now let's dive into it. Again, came on, a couple things. Technical difficulties, those have been ironed out. And SandCity Sports is ready to move and groove. Again, it is a weeknight in the summer, so I know folks it's a little bit late. But again, as I say, this is when the time avails itself, and so this is when I'm jumping into my passion project. All right, and so let's go ahead and get it moving and grooving. Make sure the volume is correct. A little bit on the loud side. All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. SandCity to the business. I'm your host, artist known as Andre King. What is good? Rumored to be heading back to South Beach, but we do not know. A lot of things up in the air. May not be fair. Can't rely on it. Go! So certainly a lot to get to. I hope you guys are doing well out there in television land. I am motivated, thrilled to be here in the building. Let me just going down, letting people know again. Some people might be available, some people not. We all have different schedules. I get it. But one thing there's no two ways about is I'm motivated, fired up, and ready to go. But as we kind of get into it, hope your day on the East Coast, your evening. A lot of folks on the East Coast are getting that REM sleep, which they need because we are going into the third shift time frame. So on the East Coast, I understand, folks. All right, not everybody is on summer vacation. You guys have to get up and punch that clock tomorrow, so you're getting your sleep, and you have to check in. Ooh, Sox short of a new record. Okay, oh so close. For the Red Sox, okay, back to you guys out there in television land. Hold on. What are we doing here? All right. We will discuss. We will discuss what's going on in the world of Major League Baseball. Certainly going to talk about the NFL upcoming season. Even though we don't want to rush. You look up at your calendar. It's July 23rd. Goodness gracious, where is the month gone? Felt like I was just getting into my summer, and now it's already 3 weeks in the rears. NBA front, we're talking about the stars of tomorrow. In terms of Summer League, talking about the LeBron James, yes, indeed, I will say sweepstakes, and where he decides to take his talents to, most definitely. And what's the prognosis? Are we picking the Knicks to repeat? Is that what's going on, Chris? How you doing? Back again, another passion project, another episode of SandCity Sports. Feel free to jump in as you see the need. I'm just saying, hey, we done had torrential downpours in the Commonwealth the last few days, folks. It's been raining, and finally the sun decided to come back out today, so that's a beautiful thing. People can get back into their routine, get out there to the beach, go ahead and patronize our wonderful restaurants and businesses. We can get things moving and grooving. We need the rain, right? Got to, rain for the plants and, okay, our waterways and all that stuff. But it's the summertime here in tourist town, so we need to get after it. We need to be active. Okay, we trying to do 6, 7, 8 months of business in 2 months. So we definitely there's no half stepping, as we say. So Chris, go ahead and feel free to weigh in. Certainly, good. Like to hear it. these summer months, these months of just we have to take time. We have to rejuvenate. I know everybody's schedule is different, so we got a lot of working class heroes out there. Yeah. The rain was coming down, Chris, but it's sunshine now. A lot of working class heroes that are out there, that's on the East Coast that are sleeping, that are getting ready for their next work day. So I certainly understand that. We also have our restaurants, our businesses, our late night establishments. They're still right. 1:00 is the got to go time on the Cape. Boston, it's 2, and Boston is trying to keep it. Seeing if it can stay at 3, which it was for the World Cup, which worked out well. That's been a recurring thing in Beantown in Boston. With the 2:00, people say. People have been saying that since time immemorial. People saying that it needs to be 3. So we'll see if they I think they'll probably push it back to 2, just right. But it worked out well for the World Cup. But I know that it's a different story when you're just talking about in general. You need resources. Yeah, I got a number of thoughts on Summer League. That's a good place to start, Chris. So let's jump right in. Let's jump right into this conversation about Summer League. What we've seen, right? Some people are of the mindset that Summer League is kind of like a panacea. I think the better term that I'm looking for is placebo, right? Some people are saying there's a placebo effect. Okay, and not that I'm a medical doctor. I have difficulty just watching a full episode of ER. That's not necessarily my thing. I'm not one of the heroes out there among us. Our EMT workers, our first responders, our nurses, our doctors. I'm not cut from that heroic cloth. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express recently, so right, these things come to me. But right, the placebo effect, right? When the doctors run in their trials, they give this, 5 people the actual medicine. They gave these 5 people a placebo. They tell them it's the medicine. You're not supposed to lie, but this is for scientific purposes. You know what I'm saying? And you're not supposed to, but it's for the scientific purposes. So they give them the placebo. Yeah. It was some heavy hitters we had here in the Commonwealth. Okay, we had Beppe. You know what I mean? Kylian Beppe was in the building. Right? The French national team. Pogba, not in the national team anymore. Pogba not, or he doesn't have a starring role. It was about Beppe. So yeah, it was. We're getting back to Boston as Titletown, USA. We can't call Boston Titletown anymore, right? Because of the foolishness that's gone on. We will discuss the Red Sox. The foolishness that I'm discussing is the Celtics getting rid of Jrue Holiday, which I'm not right, and then now rebuilding, or reloading. A lot of people, Chris, let me know, am I slipping on PG? Some folks are saying reloading. Peyton Pritchard, shout out to Peyton Pritchard, good dude. He's on the Cape a lot in the summer. He might be on the Cape right now. His wife, their family, some are here. So he's a really good guy in the community. Peyton works out at our local schools. Monomoy, that's in Harwich, formerly the Rough Riders. Okay, the Harwich Rough Riders, now the Monomoy, which is a combination of Harwich and Chatham for the folks that are not from the Cape. Combination of these two towns coming together. So it's Monomoy. And they didn't, they believe Chatham was the Knights, Harwich was the Rough Riders, and so they said we got to come up with something new, so it's the Monomoy Sharks. A lot of us in the community, hey, that Rough Riders went, hey, the Harwich Rough Riders, that was that, woo! You know what I mean? And I know there's 2 different communities, but you could have been the Monomoy Rough Riders. That would have been, woo! They're the Monomoy Sharks. It is, compromise. But what does this have to do with Boston? What does this have to do with the conversation at hand? Specifically the French national team and their time in the Commonwealth, which is good. Also the Tartan Army. The Scottish faithful came through, and that was super cool, right? Just cultures. Haiti, Cape Verde, right? Cultures just coming together, sports bringing people together. Beautiful thing. And saying, hey, I believe in this, you believe in that. Okay, we're different, but let's find some common ground to this game of soccer, and let's stand on that for now and build from there. And that's what happened, and it was wonderful. Okay. So what's the connecting point? Back to that, the connecting point is Peyton Pritchard, who there's reports that he's supposed to take Peyton Pritchard is supposed to take Jalen Brunson leap. I got no problem with that. That is a lot you're asking from, you know what I mean? Let's not just, everybody can't be Jalen Brunson, even though Peyton Pritchard, sixth man of the year, but everybody can't be Jalen Brunson. But it's time for him to, he's coming into that, gonna be looking for him to step up next year. I actually feel Peyton Pritchard should continue to come off the bench, because you got Tatum. I think it's going to be an Allen Iverson system where it's just Tatum against the world. I think he's going to average 32, 33, 34 and just get buckets. Derek White's the second option. We'd like to see Derek White become an all-star. He's been a fringe. I think he deserves to be an all-star. Okay. PG is the third. There's no, So you're going to start Pritchard, but he's the fourth option. Right? Okay, so let's get this. We'll come back to Summer League. Let's talk a little bit of Celtics. Let's get the Celtics art, which we have, of course. Yeah. I would like, but, and let me, you know what I mean? I'm not half-stepping here. In the best of all possible worlds, if you can get DeMar DeRozan production from Paul George, then this can start to work. Okay? The Celtics have gone, in my mind, from being a complete team to a one-trick pony. Right? Oh, what are you saying? You know what I mean? Does that mean I'm sleeping on Derek White? Am I sleeping on? Did I just not show love to both Derek White and Peyton Pritchard? And the big question mark right here is Mr. Paul George. I'm not throwing shade at anybody. What I'm saying is that this team is the 2001 76ers, where you got your lone star, Mr. Tatum. And we remember the 01 Sixers that went to the NBA Finals. People had questions and concerns. They said they got some favorable calls against a Milwaukee Bucks team with a Ray Allen, with a Glenn Robinson, with a Sam Cassell, with a Tim Thomas, right? Hey, Tim Thomas was there. By the way, I saw Tim Thomas on Vlad TV. People don't remember how ridiculous Tim Thomas was. Hauser need to show up. This is your bench mob. Hugo turns into Danny, Avdija, who's, Danny out there in Portland. Again, but who is Danny hooping with to have his shine? Who Danny hooping with important to help him get to that next level? Who's the point guard? I know they got 8 point guards now in Portland, but who's the point guard? That Holiday guy. So you add Jrue Holiday, and next thing you know, a fringe player is getting all-star love. Is that what happened? Interesting how that worked. It's interesting how that worked. Portland is getting out of the play-in and getting into the playoffs, right? Portland is playing meaningful games in a season when they lost their head coach, embroiled in a gambling scandal, but they still have continuity. They still have connectedness. They're still out there grinding, competing, all for one and one for all. Okay, but who's the glue? Oh, that Holiday, them Holiday styles. Interesting how that worked. Okay, we had that at one point in time in the Commonwealth. People want to talk about aprons. You need to go ahead and buy a delicatessen. You're so concerned about aprons. Why don't you buy a deli? Why don't you go, huh? Hey, Mambo Italian. If you're so concerned about aprons, open up a restaurant. Instead of taking away, tearing up dynasties. Okay? The Celtics had it. Dynasty. And they let it go. And if you could talk to me about the second apron, you could talk to me about they had to do it. I've been consistent. Go back last year, even before you even thought about trading Drew Holiday. Ridiculous. Stupid. You came at me this season with all this analytic. Wow, look how well they're playing. Analytic. What happened when the rubber met the road in playoff time and you had young Lions, a Maxey, an Edgecombe, a healthy PG after his suspension? What happened? Joel Embiid healthy for 2 days in a row, which, you know what I mean, before he got injured against the Knicks. What happened? And you ain't have no Lions on your side. Okay? And I know Tatum wasn't there in Game 7, but you saw down the stretch they couldn't hold up. I want Derek White to be an all-star, but it's different when you are the second option versus the third or the fourth option. I'll give Derek White, he used to be the third option because Drew Holiday's a willing passer and not concerned about numbers. Even though there's no slight to Derek White, Drew Holiday is the better overall player. Yeah, they were both on the Olympic team. Yeah, there was a controversy because it should have been JB. But they're both winners. Okay? But it's a different situation. Derek White, when you have JB, when you have JT, you got to respect Drew. Okay? He's either going to shoot the three because he got that. He's going to take you onto the low block, old school Mark Jackson style. Okay? You got to respect him offensively. So that left guys, i.e. Derek White, i.e. Pritchard, wide open. Open, run, open. Right? Where's that facility in New York at an undisclosed location where they always hooping? Somewhere in Manhattan. Okay? Where guys just go to get, break a sweat, run around, get my shots up, and just stay. I'm just getting a cardio. This isn't about I'm just out here getting a cardio. That's what it's about. And when you go to those things, it's disrespectful to leave a pro player open. It's like a boxer when you throw a lead right. Go ahead and shout out to When We Were Kings. Great documentary about the Rumble in the Jungle, Ali and Foreman. Check it out. It's disrespectful as a boxer to throw a lead right, to throw this hand first. It's what you're saying, because again, it takes more. Right? This is the jab is closer. I can see it, it's closer, you know what I mean? But for you to lead with your right, that's saying I'm slow. That's saying I'm you know what I mean? I'm not a pro. That's what you say when you throw a lead right. It's a okay. I can't anticipate you throwing your backhand, I'm not quick enough to react to that. Wait for you to open up and come under with that Mike Tyson uppercut and put you on your behind. You see, I'm not on the same level as you. That's what it is when you leave shooters open. And that's how wide open Derek White was when you had your full complement, which is why I never should have traded Drew Holiday in the first place. Which is why they got their top offensive rating in history, because you had willing passers, team first guys that were passing up good shot for great shots. You know another team that would do that? Team out in the Bay Area, out now where you are, Chris. That team out in the Bay Area, where they over there passing up good for great. Where you have a generational player in Chef Curry that's willing to share the wealth. Was there any talk about my team or your team when Kevin Durant came to town? Was that with Steph Curry? Well, it's my if he comes here, then Was there any discussion to that? Or was it, let's keep adding to this marinara with the angel hair pasta? Let's keep adding now. Give me that good Parmesan cheese with it. Give me the grated cheese with it, okay? Let's just keep adding to this dish and making it more delicious. Keep adding. Didn't hear nothing from Chef Curry about, well, my turn, your turn, my team, no nonsense like that. And you didn't hear nothing with the Celtics either, because Drew Holiday, Olympic gold medalist, NBA champion, was willing to say, I'm not worried about stats. I'm worried about player efficiency, which, by the way, was off the charts. Check those numbers. I don't care if I have 12 points or 28 points. Let's just get it right. Okay? And so they got it right, and guys rained down. Now, back to this team. You're talking to me about Hugo becoming Danny Avdija. Where's the leadership for that to happen? I like the fact they brought in Mike Conley. Maybe they're listening to the SandCity. Maybe somebody's tuned in. We've been saying, where the heck is the point guard since you got rid of Drew? Talking about a point guard by committee. It's not that simple. Yeah, anybody can bring the ball up if you're just playing a 4-round 1 or 5 out to kick and shoot a bunch of threes. How's that working out for the Celtics? Going by the numbers. The more you take, the more you make. What happened when you came up against a team with a true general? I.e., my favorite coach, Tom Thibodeau, in 2025. What happened? What happened to those 20-point leads that you built up in Game 1 and Game 2 at home against my team, the New York Knickerbockers, led by a true general and Tom Thibodeau? What happened? You shot yourself into leads, and what'd you do? You shot yourself right out of those leads. Okay? And who was there to calm things down? Now, granted, that Celtics team did have Drew Holiday. Okay, they did have Drew Holiday. But again, system-wise. Okay? You know what that Celtics team didn't have? They didn't have Charles Lee, who's building up the Toronto Raptors. Smack this guy in the face. Charlotte Hornets. You know what that Celtics team didn't have? They didn't have Jeff Van Gundy, who's out there in the Clippers, helping them maintain stability. So they had Drew Holiday in 2025. Not acting like they didn't, but the coaching staff took a hit, which strategically, somebody pushed back against this ridiculousness. Somebody give the ball to JB or JT in the post and get to the free throw line to stop this, right? You shot it in, you shot yourself right out. Okay, you talking to me about Hugo. I don't want to hear any of that. If it happens, I'll tip my hat. I'm no. Okay? My brother, he's been notified. He does have responsibilities. He might not be able to make it. I get it. We coming in late, but this is the time that we have, so this is when we doing what we doing. Period, end of story. Summertime and the living is good. Right? There were concerns about Hugo and his ability to defend in the postseason. Right? Cater was in foul trouble. Couldn't have Vucevic on the floor getting cooked in the pick and roll. Where was Hugo then? I'm not buying this talk about woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's undue pressure you're putting on people. I'm a Peyton Pritchard fan. I've been a fan. He's on the Cape. He's good in the community. He's dapping up and encouraging our young people. They're feeling encouraged. They're feeling inspired. It's just a good look in the community. He goes to the businesses. He gets his hair cut. He's a nice dude. All the rest of that stuff. I love it. Okay? So I'm happy for Pritchard. What are we talking about now? You put him in the same conversation as Jalen Brunson. What are we doing here? What are you doing? Okay? Why are you putting that on? Why are you putting that weight on his shoulders? He's not yet an all-star. The sixth man of the year, which I think is the appropriate role for Peyton Pritchard, to come off the bench and cook. He's not a point guard. We've been through this in the Commonwealth. He's not a pure point guard. He is a scoring guard. Marcus Smart is not a point guard. He is a scoring guard. Drew Holiday is a point guard. Who can score? Right? It's like football. Josh Allen is a quarterback. Who can run? He's not a running quarterback. He's a quarterback who can run. He's not an RG3. He's not a Tim Tebow. Peyton Pritchard is a scoring guard. He's not a point guard. All right? And then the framework is completely different. And that's where your Celtics fan, and I don't know if Chris, if you're still there, or anybody else is still there on television land. I know it's late in the East Coast. On the left coast, y'all is good. Come at me if you have rebuttals or if you're whatever. Okay? This team, since you got rid of an All-NBA MVP candidate in Jaylen Brown, right? Because you had a difficulty dealing with tense energy. Are you kidding me? Like, You guys act like Magic Johnson. You guys, I'm not blaming. I'm not blaming you guys out in television. I'm sorry. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming. But did Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, were they best friends? Did they get along off the court? Did they go to the same clubs? I don't even know if Kareem went to the club. Did Magic Johnson go to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's favorite coffee shop and talk about the issues in society? Huh? Everybody is not Steph and Clay. Everybody is not, and Steph and Clay, they're different lives. Clay is doing his thing. He's a single guy. Steph's obviously married, family man, so on and forth. Okay? But they just generally vibe. Clay does Clay, Steph does Steph, and there's never been, even when Clay was at the end of his contract and Steph had to kind of, navigate on things, you know what I mean? But there was never a clash there, unless I'm missing something. I don't think I am. But the Celtics, you talk about, yeah, JB is upset. He's also a renaissance man in the community. The Theus Foundation, the Bridge Program, all the things that he does at our leading universities, Harvard, MIT, Tufts, Boston College, BU, Emerson. This crazy narrative that Jaylen Brown thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. Well, he's gone to the right place. Since when is that an issue when you're in Boston, home of Harvard University? What are you even talking about? He goes into a room, man. Ugh. You know what the word for that is, folks? The decoded word that you don't use anymore? It's uppity. So-and-so thinks they're uppity. Okay? You don't want somebody getting ahead of themselves. That's the word you would use in a different time in American life, which was code for somebody's getting ahead of themselves, okay, and putting themselves in a place where proper society doesn't deem it to be appropriate. I thought this was a meritocracy, folks. I thought we lived in a meritocracy. Give me your humble, excuse me, let's get this right. Give me your tired. Give me your poor. Give me your huddled masses yearning to be free. I know we're having a conversation about immigration. This is an open forum. Jump in with your takes. You got a place here. Be respectful. Jump in with your takes. But we're having a conversation, and as far as SandCity is concerned, it's going to be a respectful conversation. Let's have the conversation. I noticed in the World Cup, a lot of these teams, the team was all for immigration. They were loving it, as far as the World Cup is concerned. I saw a team, y'all from Norway, y'all from Sweden, France, Spain. Y'all had a lot of folks. I don't know if they were born in that country. They was on the team, and everybody was good. Everybody was good with it. So, seem to be working in that instance. I know you have laws, have to do it legally. I get all that. Okay? Saying a lot of things. Come back to the original. Oh, back to Jaylen Brown. Yeah, yes, the point. Crazy. And I know there's a lot of things that have been going on in the culture, and there's a lot of just really strong people saying wild things. Stephen A. Smith talking about the Lakers' best players happen to be white. Wild. All the respect that I have from Stephen A. Smith. Go ahead and check out Straight Shooter. I copped it on Audible. Added this. It was a smooth listen. I learned a tremendous about. He narrates it. It's added. That's just a wild take. Talking about the Lakers and their best player. It's wild. For a number of reasons, but also, guys, and we can dive into this because I know we're going to come back to the Celtics, but Luka Doncic is not just white. He's from Slovenia, folks. Right? Slovenia as in Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia as in the USSR. Go ahead and check out Once Brothers. ESPN 30 for 30. Guys, or if The Wire is your thing, right? Go check out season 2. In my country, this is not prison. In my country, this is nothing. Huh? Your man Sergey from The Wire. Everyone want to call him Boris. Okay? Those Eastern Bloc Europe, what? The Iron Curtain? I know we have problems in this society. I know, but we don't have rations and food shortages, okay? And one type of chocolate, that you can get because you don't have any other type of. We don't have people coming, to foreign exchange students sneaking in denim jeans because nobody can buy doggone blue jeans in your entire country. We don't have that. All right. So you should say somebody is white when they're actually Eastern European, right? The same way that I thought that Bobby Hurley Jr. was privileged because he went to Duke, having not read, as I did when it went out of business, Borders. Shout out to Borders. You might remember Borders. And I got the Miracle of St. Anthony paperback for like $1. So I was like, "You gonna get? I guess I'll cop it." Read. Woj, we miss Woj. I know Shams is doing his thing. We're waiting for Shams to break the LeBron story. Looking like Miami said some stuff, kind of, I don't know. But we miss Woj. If you're missing Woj, go ahead and read The Miracle of St. Anthony's. Get it on Audible. Just do yourself a favor. Out of this world. Who was the co-MVP of the 1990 McDonald's All-American game? I got no problem saying this again and again and again. Who was the co-MVP? Okay? Bobby Hurley Jr. 5. Is he 6 foot? Is he 6'1"? Is he 155 pounds soaking wet? All-time leader in assists? What? 2 natties. Loses in the Final Four his freshman year. Wins back-to-back. Then he loses in the Elite Eight his senior year before again Grant Hill brings Duke back to the championship in 95, only to lose to the Razorbacks. I thought Bobby Hurley was a Silver Spoon kid because he went to Duke. He's from Jersey City, folks. Just go check out The Miracle of St. Anthony's. If that's not your thing, go ahead and watch The Street Stops Here, PBS Gold, about St. Anthony's. Silver Spoon? A team that was a great road team because they never had a gym to play in all those years? Silver Spoon? Bobby Hurley? Same thing, Christian Laettner. Not the exact same thing. Christian Laettner's from Buffalo, folks. Buffalo? David Goggins, you can't hurt me? Buffalo? What? Blue collar? Workaday people? You gonna say Silver Spoon? Insanity. It's insane. So Stephen A, with that take about the Lakers, I know he's got to worry about ratings and there's a method to his madness, but that take was straight up madness. Madness. It's just crazy. It's wild. To insinuate again, just anyway, I don't know, Austin Reeves, Nebraska, Cornhuskers in the country doing the work. What? And then Luka Doncic being from a Soviet Union country, just wild. To insinuate that he's somehow not as tough, not as built for it as anybody else. And folks, that's how outlandish this idea that Jalen Brunson is too smart when he's in Boston, which is a capital of research and development. There is zero logic first of all, it just makes no sense on like 18 different levels. Okay? Right? You know what I mean? Cadillac grills, Cadillac mills. Check how these Cadillac. It's ludicrous. Ludicrous. And so he's gone now. Because the Celtics didn't want to do what the Lakers have done for years, which is bring in all these people that despise each other and say, look, y'all are going to get this done. You're in a great city. You live a great life, and you are playing for a great organization. I don't care if you don't want to go to IHOP. We're losing one of our IHOPs here on the Cape. That hurts. I think I might be the only IHOP on the Cape here in Barnstable. Just heard this going into business on Monday. I got to get over there to get my pancakes. Crazy. I don't care if you don't go to IHOP together. Y'all got enough resources. You don't ever have to see each other living your great, your very privileged lives. But when you come to work, you're going to be professional. and we're going to win, and that's going to help your brand and your salaries, and that's what we're going to do. And again, I don't really care about your feelings. I'm going to put 100. I do care because we have to have it organized. You know what I mean? I care, but I don't care. Right? This is our best collection of individuals. You guys are paid like professionals, high level professionals. You're going to act like a professional, and we're going to get this done. Period. So Magic don't like Kareem, Shaq don't like Kobe, this one don't like that one. Don't care. You're going to be a pro. We might not have the energy and the good feels and the good vibes of a Golden State, but we're going to get this done. We're going to win. Okay? And then you guys cannot talk to each other. You guys can, put subliminals against each other on social media. You can do all that nonsense. Okay? But you're going to show up to work, you're going to be professional, and we're going to win. The Celtics could have done that. They could have done it. But instead, we have this new look team here. And people talking about Hugo becoming Danny Avdija. All right? I'm not buying it. 10 toes down, no. All right? You can come back to this. We can play the receipts. No. All right? Again, when they traded Kevin Garnett, at first I was like, the Celtics gave up a lot. Have we heard from all the guys that were given up in the Kevin Garnett deal since they were traded from the Celtics? What was it, like Sebastian Telfair and one of the dunkers, Gerald Green, and all the assets that the Celtics gave up to get KG, excuse me. Oh my goodness, they don't have. It's the same nonsense people are talking about Miami right now, who's in higher than I thought in LeBron sweepstakes, because that would be bananas. That's a real. If they get Bron, who goes in committed to winning and allowing the young Lions to shine, and then to play his part along with them. There's already talk about Bradley Beal coming in. There's talk about a Klay Thompson coming in. Once you have the guys, you're going to build the roster around them. Okay? Would I rather go to this team for $4 million and lose in anonymity? Or would I go to this team for $3 million and compete for a championship? My brand is going to go through the roof, and I will make back that extra million or 500,000, whatever the heck it is after taxes. I'm going to make it back because I'm with the winners. Or would I rather get more money to go to, whatever bottom feeder out there wants me? I'm going to South Beach. Okay? Let's bring it back to the Celtics. Again, just lunacy getting rid of Drew Holiday, as I've said. Lunacy getting rid of Jaylen Brown because he was angry because you slapped him in the face with the baby powder. Lunacy. You keep the team together. You iron out those differences, and you continue to compete. By the way, they could have, and they can't afford him, second apron. I've been against the second apron from the beginning. OKC giving up Lou Dort, even though they got Kassan Wallace. It's just stupid. It's stupid. The second apron is stupid. It's been stupid. Well, Adam Silver. Adam Silver is one of the best commissioners in team sports. He knows his job. The second apron is stupid. It's dumb. It's dumb money. You had something that was working that people bought into, and you told them, wait a minute. I have a better idea. I know that you like this, but I'm going to fix something that wasn't broken. And I know so that you like that, because I believe you're going to like that more than you like this, which you've already established that you like. Okay? So we're going to break up these teams that are already built. You know what I mean? Yes, there's a luxury tax. People pay their money, and people continue to pay their money. Right? Golden State, you had Iguodala, you had Sean Livingston, you had Leandro Barbo. You had all these pieces. Yeah, these super teams were cool. And then can this non-super team beat a super team just like you have in football, i.e. soccer, football, where you have your Man U's, but then they play against the neighborhood team, and the neighborhood team could possibly beat Man U, and then they could raise their standing, and if Man U loses, they could possibly go to relegation, right? People want to see that. Excuse me. I don't see people in soccer storming the gates because Man U's salary is $1 billion. And unless I missed that news flash. or Barcelona got this other player and now they're rioting in the streets of Spain. No, they're spending the money hand over fist. Players are taking the money. They're a juggernaut. Can they live up to that expectation, or can they be beaten by a team that outmaneuvers them? It's interesting. But the second apron, we got to, take away a team. I keep Cassano Walls coming off the bench. Keep the team together. I'm good with it. I don't know who wasn't good with it. And by the way, Oklahoma City is the exact type of organization, small to the small markets, that won a championship. Did they win a championship because of the second apron? No, they won a championship before the second apron came in and started derailing things. Back to the Celtics, folks. I see this as Jason Tatum in the Allen Iverson seat. No power sharing. There was power sharing with JB. There's not another JB on this team, as is clear. Okay, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, no. They are solid supporting players. There's a difference between a supporting player and an all-star. I would like for these guys to take all-star leaps. Okay? But to just assume now that because they're going to have more usage, yes, they're going to have more usage and they're going to have more eyeballs. Because you took away another, there was 2 MVP candidates and you got rid of one. So I can load up on Tatum now, but now I have additional resources to throw at the second option. So these folks, they're not going to be, right? So I'm saying, well, you're disrespecting Peyton Pritchard. No, I'm not disrespecting anybody. Okay? I'm simply stating the reality. That these leaps that the folks out there in television land are hoping and wanting to take are going to be harder fought. Right? Which, hey, go out there and get it, grind, get your shine on. I'm all for that. Okay, but what I'm saying is that these are the things that this team needs to iron out. And you can't just assume that they're going to be ironed out smoothly. Just like we assumed that Kevin Durant was going to go to Houston, provide leadership, and they were going to get moving and grooving. And then Kevin Durant plays 78 doggone games during the regular season, and where is he to be found during the playoffs? And then nowhere to be found. Yeah, there's a leadership vacuum on this team, and Mike Conley is not filling the leadership vacuum. Right? Nor mercenary Mitchell Robinson. I'm happy he got all his money. Okay, but he went to the highest bidder. He's a 30-minute flight from NYC. He's here. Okay, but Mitchell Robinson needs to come. He needs to get to shift gears into the Celtics culture. Same thing for Paul George. This thing is evolving on the fly. It has to be built up, and you can't assume how it's going to be built up because we don't know any of these players in these new roles. Jason Tatum, since he come into the league, has always been, even when he's the best player on the team as he got into his stride, but when he comes into the league, it's Kyrie's team. It's Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, right? Kemba Walker. Now you got Drew Holiday. Jason Tatum seems to be the type of a guy that just wants to hoop, do his thing. He's not going to be the one rah-rah. He's not going to be the one cursing you out. Even keeled. He's not the culture setter of a team, which is again why it might be prudent if you have a guy like a Drew Holiday that can set the culture and put him in a position to be successful. That might work. Or not. You keep talking about Drew. I do. There's no end in sight for it. Because the fact of the matter is, Let folks know they want to jump in. Oh, goodness. Check the highlights. Not highlights, just the updates. It has to be established. As I let folks know, even though it's late, some of the guys in the fantasy league are here and there and everywhere. Mostly on the East Coast, but Tatum, alpha, right? Ain't no power sharing. Tatum is, but Derek White, you're going to get your touches when Peyton, you know what I mean? It's all, and it's not going to be, I don't see it working out this way. But we do know that Kobe Bryant scored the 81 points in the 05 season, right? The first season, after Shaq when the team was chips. But that wasn't really the point of the season. The point of that season was for Kobe Bryant to average 35 points a game to prove that he could, because Kobe had enough, even though he's winning championships, and Allen Iverson, who wasn't winning championships, being able to cook for the Sixers. So two teams that were going nowhere fast, the 76ers and, the Lakers in 2005. But that's not what we were tuned in to see. We were tuned in to see guys just go ham and get buckets and be creative on losing teams. So Kobe averages 35. AI averages 33. It was exciting. Teams going nowhere, but we don't really care about that. We just want to see what these guys can do just unleashed. So this is how I feel about the Celtics next season. No, it ain't no Tatum and Paul George or Tatum and Derek White or Tatum and Pritchard. It's Tatum. Go out there and cook. Go out there and win an MVP. Coming off an injury, you wanted to, to play. You ain't want to sit on the sidelines. You wanted to go out there and get it. Go get it. Right? And then Derek White and Paul George and Peyton Pritchard and Mitchell Robinson and certainly Mike Conley, you guys go in and fill in, right, where needed. Go ahead and fill in where needed. That's your role. Not no, you fill in where needed. And some nights you get 10 shots and some nights you get 15 shots. But, right, if the theory is, now the Celtics got to have to carve out a role for Derek White. And they got to carve out a role for... No. I'm not buying that. I ain't buying no YMCA organization of this team. If that's the way you guys want to go because of what the analytic, then good luck with that. Good luck. Well, Derek White, and not that like Derek White, Page, like that, they don't seem to be those type of guys. But I feel this isn't a egalitarian offense. It's not an egalitarian team. It's Jason Tatum's team. And what you're doing, and this is, again, I don't, Mitchell Robinson is good, so on and forth. I'm not necessarily seeing, right? Well, we're going to need him in the playoffs, and the East has all these bigs and stuff like that. I like Mitchie. I'm glad he got his money. I don't know if he needed to get his money from the Celtics. I don't. But the reason it makes sense to me is, okay, Mitch is going to come in. He's going to rebound. We need somebody. And I thought Kata could have made this leap. But he gets in foul trouble and you need a backup. Well, I don't know if you have to pay a backup $15, $16, $17 million. But fine. Now, Kata is going to be the backup, so our front line is secure. So you have your energy guys. Mitchell Robinson, right, to be an energy guy to support who? To support Jason Tatum. So he's going to be your Tyson Chandler type or your Derek Lively, right? And what is those guys' role? To support Tyson, journeyman, but Lively to make Luka's life easier. Period. That's his function, to make Luka's life easier. So I can see Mitchell in that. I'm just going to make Jason's life easier. All right? Because we're going to roll this out. The East is the East. The Knicks are there. The Knicks are the power, folks know if they want to come through, they're welcome. My guys. They're late, but some of the squad. So again, I'm not relying on Hugo. To Chris's point, I ain't relying on Hugo to be Danny Avdija. I ain't doing that. No. I'm not relying on Shimmerman or Hauser. Those are role players. That's your bench mob. That's who they are. Okay, particularly because we have now, we mean the Celtics, represent, but guys all these guys are trying to get up. Excuse me again. Got me that French toast. Got me a little French toast muffin. A little snack of Ludi before we come on. Come on. Picture, and not just because people put Jalen Brunson expectations on him, but Pritchard's looking at more usage. I feel it should be as a 6-man just because you already have all the firepower in the starting lineup. We can't have all the firepower on the team. And no, I'm not relying on Hauser to cook off the bench or Shimmerman to cook off the bench. I'm relying on them to come in and bring me energy to allow Peyton Pritchard to cook as my true and defined 6-man. I'm not saying now because Peyton Pritchard's coming in the starting lineup, whereas never mind where the shot's going to come from. We know Tatum's taking all the shots. And in the shots that are left, Derek White needs to get a shot or two up. And in the shots that are still left, Paul George needs to get some shots up. And then Mitchell got to get a couple touches over here. Where are the shots for Pritchard? This ain't no Tatum get 10, Paul George get 3, Derek White get 4. No. It's Tatum gets 15. And the rest of you need to divide those 5 shots amongst you and be happy with it, period. Period. That's how I see this team functioning. Okay, well, they're going to load up on Tatum. Well, then you can get your shots off. But for me, anytime Jason Tatum single coverage, go to work. I got no problem with Jason Tatum shooting 30 plus shots next year. None. Well, we got to make sure. No. Okay, if you want to say, well, Tatum's got to only take 12 because we got okay, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard particularly shine with less usage before you shine with more usage. And Pritchard has shown that as in terms of winning 6-man of the year. Right? And I think, well, let's get another 6-man of the year. Rather than trying to say, no, Pritchard needs to get 20 shots a game because we're trying to push him to be an all-star. And, it's going to take him time. Okay, maybe I'm wrong and he's ready to be an all-star right now. Okay. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong because I know that this is no slight and I got full confidence and respect for Pritchard. But what I'm saying is, if that's what you come in with, oh, well, Pritchard's going to be an all-star, so we got to get him this amount of usage because we're going to need him down the stretch. And he happens to stumble a bit, which is completely understandable because if you've never been an all-star, it's going to take you some time to get to that level. It's going to take you some time. So if and then he does stumble, and I'm JT over here looking at this, right? I'm like, hey, man, why don't you just give me that burden that I'm ready for? Okay, because there's less chance of it going sideways, this additional responsibility, because it's more likely that Jason Tatum wins most valuable player. Right? That's the more likely outcome. Give him the more responsibility, right? to take his all-star level, his all-NBA first team level, and take that next notable step to MVP, right? And let that be the momentum and the driving force for Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, and Paul George to raise their standing. Not some YMCA stuff. Well, his agent said that I don't care. We ain't doing no participation agent. Why? No. This is Tatum's show. Tatum first, Tatum second, Tatum twice and 3 times on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, and on the fourth go round, now we spread the wealth a little bit, and then we come back to Tatum. And you know something? Let teams load up, then you're going to get those wide open looks. Okay, or those hockey assist looks. Load up on Tatum. I'm gonna make a pass, then make another pass, that hockey assist, and then that next person going to be wide open. That's your opportunity to shine. Excuse me. We'll see. We will see. Chris, we got to go to Summer League now. We're going to go to Summer League. And see what these young Lions are doing. Let me just go around. I know it's late on the East Coast, but it is what it is. Keep saying that. Just go around. People might be on the different platforms doing what you're doing. I do feel kind of, I don't feel kind of good. I feel very good. Oh, goodness. Okay. Alrighty. So we good. Just checking. This is goodness gracious. I gotta watch myself. I want to get the updates. I'm checking Twitter, see if right. I want to get that LeBron update, but at the same time, it's going to be time for effect. So I don't know if LeBron wants to put the update out there in the middle of the night on a Wednesday. On a Wednesday. All right, that was a minute ago. I missed that. Chris had some contributions. Man, Chris, this is production malfeasance. Right? Chris been locked in here. I gotta apologize over here. My freaking, and this is on me. My thread, I gotta, it's not, I gotta. So you know what I mean? I've been Chris been rocking with me over here. We got True. You know what I mean? What's going on? Appreciate this. And then disrespect. That's my bad. It's my bad, man. Okay, because I'm over here, not just showing no. This is the second time it's freaking happened. I can't believe this. It's not gonna happen again. It's crazy. This man, you know what I mean? Hold on. It's not all good. Your boy out here, you over here, you know what I mean? We talk about it. When you making the pasta, the A Mambo, we gotta add the extra seasoning. I ain't had no seasoning. I might have to get kicked out of the kitchen. I might have to get kicked out of the kitchen right now. It's crazy. Man, adding to the show, and I'm not even adding to the pot. I'm not even including this. All right, don't let hey, a lot of people are doing big things. I follow. I respect everybody. Okay, you see, the Cape Cod kids got some ways to go. I got ways to go if I'm not even managing what I have. Or you want to do with this. That's a part of, at least for me. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm always looking my nose in everybody else's business. Okay, handle your own business. I ain't handling my business. Okay, so I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Okay, but now we got to get to the bulk of the matter. Great question. Let me put it back up here. And you're hearing the rumblings about next season, Chicago and or Washington. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, right? We have that art right here for the people to start with this conversation. So let's dive into that. As I take accountability for my lack of accountability, okay, in terms of not including folks that are bringing ridiculous. Not going to happen again. My bad, Chris, and anybody else that contribute. And I'm not keeping up with the doggone chat. That's some shameful stuff right there. Shout out to season 5 of The Wire. Okay? The type of person looks at a fire. You're a journalist and you looking at a fire? That's shameful stuff right there. Shameful. Not keeping up with the chat. Shameful. Yeah, man. You look at 1 and 2 here. Look, man. Both of these teams, I rock with Billy Donovan. The Spurs made a serious move bringing Billy Donovan in as a lead assistant. That's a serious move. That's a big boy move. Okay? And you see some of the things where they were close but no cigar. Now you have leadership, and it can't be understated. I did just note the Celtics losing those 20-point leads against the Knicks in 2025. So my franchise, my coach could take that leap forward. It happened when you didn't have a Charles Lee, who's leading the Charlotte Hornets to a better place. You didn't have a Jeff Van Gundy, who was a special consultant in the front office, to weigh in to say we need to correct these things. All right? So Joe Mazzulla, good guy, motivational, so on. He needs help. He needs support. He's not an Eric Spoelstra. He's not a Tom Thibodeau. He ain't 20 years into this before he got his opportunity. He got his opportunity because all HE double hockey sticks broke out. That's what happened. Okay, shout out to The Crown. Check it out on Netflix. Well done series. Okay? It's better to wait and have high office thrust upon you than when you are ready, than to have to wear that crown before you're ready. I said what I said. Okay? Mazzulla, good coach, solid to 1 and 4. He was put in the big chair before it was his turn to be there. Period. That's how you lose a doggone to the Miami Heat in 2023 after you made the finals in 2022 and they don't even have Tyler Hero. And you blow a game 7 at home and you get smacked around after you won 3 straight, after you lost 3 straight. Because he didn't have a Billy Donovan or a Frank Vogel or a Mike Woods or whoever on his bench because of the chaos that ensued. So that's a huge move, bringing in Billy Donovan for the Spurs. Now, back to what you're talking about, the question at hand. There's a transition for Chicago. I rock with Billy. It was a time for him. It was a time for change. Fine. The new coach coming in, he's got to establish his system. This team is talented. Led by this one man. Yes, I said led by this one man right here. They have Matas Boulius, who played at Brewster Academy, here in New England. Reminds me of Detlef Schrempf, 6'8", 6'9", athletic, dunk on your head. Okay, family, dad played professionally the whole nine. They got Josh Giddey, who didn't want to come off the bench behind Kassan Wallace and behind Lou Dort. All right, and other pieces. They moved off of, right. It would have worked, as far as I'm concerned, had Lonzo not gotten hurt, and you had Lonzo, a true point guard. You had DeRozan, a bucket getter. You had Levine, a bucket getter. Okay, then you brought in Vucevic as your center. Not great defensively, but Billy Donovan could coach defense. Then you had Pat Williams, who you drafted. It would have worked. Lonzo wasn't there. You didn't have a true point guard. A true point guard. Okay? That Norman Powell move is big. Because that's your veteran to set the culture, to put all these young guys in a position to say, listen, but they have lions. All right? And I was thinking about this the other day. If you watched The Last Dance, we all checked that out during the pandemic when the world shut down and we had nothing else to do. Crazy times that we can remember, right? Summertime, no summer league, no nothing. You got to be, the whole society's on lockdown, so on and forth. Going back to school hybrid, having to wear masks and this, that, and the third, right? Crazy times. Okay, now Kobe doing his thing for the Hornets under the capable leadership of Charles Lee. All right, but when we watch The Last Dance, and saw a documentary, but one of the things it talked about is, look, man, when Michael Jordan came to Chicago as a rookie, I don't know if you guys saw the clips of Michael Jordan donating another clinic in North Carolina with his mother. Okay, powerful stuff. Also, Michael Jordan, squashing the beef with Charles Barkley after all those years. Powerful stuff. Right? When Michael Jordan came to Chicago in 85, 86 season, rookie season, yeah, he came with his mom. Like, Mom, no, you ain't going to this new city. Like, yeah, I'm coming with you. And you're going to have some stability. And we ain't just going to, throw you out there to the, all this money, this Nike this Nike that. No, you're going to have stability. Reminds me of the DeBanter family. Reminds me, like, all these Boozer, Caleb Wilson, AJ DeBanter, Darren Pete, like they're families, right? And you can see the maturity and success because they have functional support systems. You don't have to do it all by yourself at 18, 19 years old, right? The Last Dance, what we learned, not only Michael Jordan, he came with his family and he had a foundation, so on and forth, but he's in camp for a week. And the Bulls player development people, they go to the front office like, hey, I just want to let y'all know, y'all got the draft right this year. Eye test early on. Y'all ain't mess up the draft this year. I'm letting you know right now. What we seeing in this kid Jordan, y'all got the draft right. I just want to let you know. I'm out. Okay? Early on, A. This ain't no placebo over here. This ain't no one-hit wonder. This kid, Michael Jeffrey, okay, eye test just how he, and this is 85, 86, so they didn't know, but you would say he might be special. He might be. That's what I'm seeing, right? They saw what Bobby Knight saw when he coached Team USA. All right, Portland said, who should we draft? He said, you better take that kid Jordan. They said, we need a center. He said, you draft Michael Jordan and you play him at center. That's what you do. Do not let him go. No, do not. Okay, we know how that worked out. Right, to the point about the Bulls and Wizards, man, their rosters are looking dangerous. Right? And if these guys can just come out and play young and hungry, night in and night out, play together, make your mistakes, but stay together, right? They got something to prove. The first 20 games of the season, it's fascinating because you have teams that are running a marathon, and then you got teams that are running a 400 or an 800. Let me bring that down. You got teams that are like running the mile, And then you got teams that are running the 400, right? And we got to discuss the gentleman, John Kerr, that just broke the mile record that stood for 2+ decades. Crazy. Out of the UK, wild. Broke that record. But the mile's a different race than the 400. 400, dead sprint. I ain't saving nothing for dead sprint. Right? Shout out to Michael Johnson. Remember Michael Johnson used to always win the 2 and the 4? Okay, I ain't saving no, we ain't leaving no gas in the tank. Okay, pedal to the metal, entire. So these teams, i.e. the Bulls and the Wizards, they're coming out next year, that first 20 games. They ain't worried about the play-in tournament. They're not worried about the second round, the divisional round. They're trying to go out and get it and put themselves in a position to make the play-in. That'd be a huge. So we say, can they make the playoffs? Yes, because they can make the play-in, and then from that, make some noise and get in. So if we can they make the playoffs? I don't know. Can they make the play-in? Absolutely. That's my feeling on the Bulls and the Wizards. All right. And if teams want to keep messing around in the East, yes, I'm talking to you, Orlando Magic. Ran a good coach out of town in Jamal Mosley. Yes, you did. Got the assistant from San Antonio. I'm not mad at you. But there's no reason after bringing in Bane this year, you should be taking a step back like you did on some nonsense, on some foolishness, on some selfishness. Ridiculous. Orlando was supposed to be where Detroit was under the capable leadership of J.B. Bickerstaff. That was supposed to be Orlando's season, but they wanted to be in their feelings. Yeah, you guys, in your feelings. And took a giant step back and, to the point where they win a playoff series and then they lose, what do they get into the first round, it goes 7 games, they end up losing to Cleveland, right? They end up losing and then they fire Jamal Mosley just because how bad the situation had gotten, even though you saw what they could do when they came together, but the situation had already become untenable. No, it's not a one-to-one comparison in terms of what was done in Boston. Right, but Orlando is now, in my mind, in the same place where the Memphis Grizzlies were. Yeah, Memphis Grizzlies were supposed to be the next Golden State Warriors, aren't they? Again, Bane being on that team, Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks, right? They were supposed to supplant the Warriors. Did that happen? Or were they not able to handle success? Right? They got too big for the britches. Right? Got too big. Okay, so I'm looking at a Detroit team. All right, I like John Collins. I would have liked Lauri Markkanen better. And Duren needs to stop pounding his chest and do what's best for the team. The Celtics are taking a step back. Got to figure it out. Cleveland, all hands on deck. Kenny Atkinson stopped talking about analytics. Okay? They should continue to be in the mix, and they could get LeBron James. Toronto, going to take a step forward. They were right there this year with Cleveland, 18 small forwards, an entire team of 6'8" unicorns. Well, everybody's not a unicorn, but 6'8" guys that can, all everything, right? So Toronto, yeah, Scotty Barnes, trying to get to that All-NBA first team level. So Toronto is going to be in the mix. Hawks are going to be in the mix. Capable leadership of Quinn Snyder. Philadelphia 76ers are trying to win the whole doggone thing. Orlando Magic, are they going to be adults? Charlotte Hornets have already proven to be adults. They're going to be there. Miami's going to be there. Okay, Milwaukee is, playing on or lottery on three. So Milwaukee's going nowhere. The Nets, right? No. Pacers are going to be better. So right now, now we're getting into the thick of the question. Because on the face of it, I want to say yes. But who now is going to be out of the play-in? Okay, Brooklyn, they can come back. Brooklyn and Milwaukee will still be out. But I have the Pacers, the Wizards, and the Bulls that want to get into the play-in. Pacers, Wizards, and Bulls. Okay, Pacers, I got to put them ahead. Yes, they traded Zubac and gave up a number 5 overall pick, which was dumb. But I'm going to say because they've done it before and Rick Carlisle has proven, I'm going to say the Pacers can get into the play-in. All right, but now who has to leave? Miami is not leaving as far as I'm concerned. So Miami is not leaving. Philadelphia is not leaving. New York is not leaving. Cleveland is not leaving as far as I'm concerned, no. And I don't think I need to reiterate that. Toronto is not leaving. Is Detroit going to go from the best record in the East to out of the play-in? I don't think so. I think Detroit maintains. Cade is an adult. Duren can pout all he wants. The team centers around Cade. Cade is not allowing Detroit, and JB Bickerstaff's not allowing Detroit to regress back to the mean. So is it going to be Boston? It's an important question. Is it going to be Atlanta? Is it going to be Orlando? Is it going to be Charlotte? This is tough now. Boston, Atlanta, Orlando, Charlotte. Who's leaving? Are the Celtics going to be out of the play-in next year? Is that right? How about Atlanta? Young Lions, Quinn Snyder, Orlando. All right, and let's just take a look at this. Okay. Who's more talented, Boston or Atlanta? All right, as displeased as I am with the JB trade, I'm going to say Boston is more talented than Atlanta. Atlanta does not have a Jason Tatum. They're young, they're upbeat, they don't have a Jason Tatum. So Boston is more. So Atlanta is okay. Who is more talented, Boston or Orlando? Orlando is more talented than the Celtics, and they're more talented now. Okay. More talented, Boston or Charlotte? Right. Again, I'm going to lean Boston talent-wise, but I'm going to lead Charlotte continuity-wise. Boston being more talented. Charlotte being more together. Because it's consistent. Right? So that's the tough part, in terms of the conversation about Washington or Chicago breaking through, is that this East is kind of stacked. Milwaukee's going nowhere. Milwaukee is done, and Brooklyn. Even though Brooklyn, Mikael Brown, right? Brooklyn is not a bad They're building up their culture. So really, you only have one team that's done for, which is the Bucks, who I think are going to be stable with Tyler Hero. I don't think it's going to. I just think it's going to take them time. I don't think they're more talented than Chicago or Washington. But everybody else has some go. All right, so long story not so long. What's waiting for Caleb Wilson and what's waiting for AJ DeBansa is, these hungry veteran teams with a chip on their shoulder who see the future and have to ask themselves, is that future going to arrive sooner or later? Right? Okay, these teams, they used to be the Eastern Conference. Now they're looking around and saying, hey, man, this conference, it's looking a lot like the West, pound for pound. Okay, if I'm in the West, New Orleans is going nowhere fast. Dallas is rebuilding. Memphis is rebuilding. Sacramento is rebuilding. Utah is trying to get their act together. But I got 3 teams that are going nowhere fast. Sacramento, Memphis, and yes, Dallas. Okay, Dallas, I think, is a little bit ahead of Memphis and Sacramento. Memphis and Sacramento are just, okay, and the new tanking rules, they are lottery on 3. Dallas and New Orleans have young talent, but that's about it. Hasn't been organized, directed. They're just talented. They got some promising players and no culture. Okay, Utah has a culture and a lot of talent. So I'm looking at the East being top to bottom stronger, or I don't know if the East top teams, no, they're not. Their top teams aren't Oklahoma City. They aren't San Antonio. So the top of the conference is stronger in the West, right? I don't know what Minnesota's doing. I don't know what to think of Houston. I don't know what Denver is doing. All right. So I just feel the East is, kind of a beast, right? East kind of a. So that would be my reservation against this team getting into the play-in. I hope that they, or I anticipate they will. I forget about hope. I anticipate they will be right on the border, right? Either in or just outside. I don't think they're going to take the approach of Milwaukee, a wait and see, right? They're not playing for next year. They're playing for this year. But the conference gotten tough. Okay. So, hey, that is the Wizards and the Bulls playoff prospects. They're going to be right in the mix, but they're going to be right in the mix. Okay. I just want to have the further conversation. Just want to talk about this rookie class a little bit more before we move on. Again, late night SandCity Sports. Hope everybody out there is doing well in television land. Right? SandCity, we keeping it moving and grooving, rolling. Moving and grooving, rocking and rolling. We doing our late night thing. Want to give a shout out, right? We don't play hit. We congratulate on SandCity all day, every day. To the Ben Maller Show. Rocking and rolling. Go ahead and, you know what I mean? I appreciate those that's rocking with SandCity. We here. We doing what we're doing. Okay, but we also got to give a shout out, you know what I mean, to other platforms that are doing their thing. So shout out to Big Ben, Mal and Militia, and what they got going on. SandCity tonight, you know, it is moving and grooving through the late night hours because this is when I have the time to do the Passion Project. This is when the Passion Project is getting done, nonetheless. All right. It's been Ben. That's Big Ben right there. Lorena, FS1 Tech Queen. Coop, a Broncos fan. And I gotta, the militia's gonna, you know, I don't want to, is that Eddie? I'm gonna say Eddie. I might have that wrong. But shout out to the Ben Maller Show. Shout out to all the crew members here. I know 3 definitively. Got Big Ben, who is a tall dude. Big Ben's like 6'7", 6'8". Lorena, FS1 Tech Queen. Coop, a Bronco fan. And a gentleman who I'm going to have to double back on. Let me see if I can, hold on, get that right. Because I'm saying Eddie Garcia. Yeah, I'm saying that's Eddie. Yes. Eddie. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So big ups to Big Ben and the crew. And I appreciate those that's rocking with SandCity as we do the late night, you know, as we power through these late night hours, you know, as this is the time for SandCity to shine. Okay, folks. Look at this. Adam Silver is a tall dude. He's taller than you think. You know, he's with all these NBA guys. Adam Silver's got to be like 6'6", 6'5". I wonder if Adam Silver was a hooper. That's a question. I looked that up. Did Adam Silver play hoops? Important question. Okay. Last but not least, with this draft class, folks, we got to ask ourselves. I mean, this is strength to strength. What I mean by that, if Cooper Flagg is class of 2026, is he the number 1 overall pick? Right. And before you come with a final answer on that point, folks, you know, I have to interject. Was Cooper Flagg even the best rookie? Okay, he might have been in your opinion. All right, for me, it's Dylan Harper. Right? Dylan Harper was the best rookie in class 2025. What he showed in the playoffs, what he showed against the league's best, Dylan Harper's best rookie. All right. So it's not just, let me bring this right. We're talking about strength to strength. Cooper, Dylan Harper, Dylan Harper. Was Con Kneppel third or was he fourth? It's a good question, but point is, folks, I don't see Edgecombe, Kneppel, Ace Bailey. I am seeing strength to strength here. You can't go wrong with Coop, Hart, Edgecombe, and Kneppel. And then Ace Bailey. I mean, let me not forget Ace. And yet a year later, you can't go wrong with DeBansa, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson. Who's fifth? Nikhil Brown. Like, this is strength to strength. Like, no drop off. DeBansa, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson, and Keaton Wagler out of the Illini. Hiding out over here. I think we're going to have back-to-back rookie classes that come into the association and throw down. Right? Looking at back-to-back years. This is unusual. Where you have multiple players coming in. We haven't even really gotten into Derek Queen, who did his thing down, in the Delta on a team that's going nowhere fast, but he still did his thing. Right? Let's take a look at some of the other rookies that was out there hooping. All right, Jeremiah Fears down in the Delta. Trey Johnson, okay, for the Wizards, another young lion. Okay, Maluk over there with Phoenix. Carter Bryant, just a rookie, folks. Crazy for the Spurs. Spurs are loaded. Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper? What? Get rid of the second apron so these teams can stay together. I'm not seeing any drop off. And I you think about it, I don't feel the question, right? Of, would Cooper have been top in 2026, or would DeBansa have been top in 2025? I'm seeing two draft classes that are delivering multiple all-stars into the league. Multiple. and changing teams overnight. Boozer going to Memphis, right? Not only does he take care of business on the court, takes care of business off the court, resets the culture. Okay? Peterson in Utah, chip on his shoulder, something to prove. Debance for the Wizards. I think, you guys have seen Cooper Flag still growing, 6'9" to 6'11", right? Right, these players in the league still growing. Look at the Debance here, man. Debance about the same size as Caleb Wilson. About the same, it's like Debance is same size as Boozer. I see no drop off, folks. In a year where we had a true rookie, right? A true rookie, folks. And Dylan Harper making noise in the NBA Finals. I see no drop off with the class 2026. Just loaded. All right. And the intrigue here is that they're going to what Stephen A. Smith would call moribund franchises. Franchises that have done nothing but lose for a long time. Starting with AJ Debance going to the Wizards. Darren Peterson going to Utah, which in my mind has been unnecessarily bad for too many years. And now you look at it, and Utah has Darren Peterson and Ace Bailey, who initially pushed back, but is showing maturity and professionalism. I mean, you get a Darren Peterson that's locked into basketball, once again with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove every single night. That motor and that mindset, which was lacking at Kansas, now evidencing itself, in the NBA. You get a locked in Darren Peterson, you get a locked in Ace Bailey, same thing. We didn't see that motor and that mindset from Ace Bailey when he was with Rutgers, playing with Dylan Harper, and they missed the NCAA tournament. Ridiculous. But if that switch turns on, throw Clayton in the mix. They still have Laurie. We want to have this conversation about, can the Wizards or the Bulls make the playoffs, which you just looked at in a much more competitive Eastern Conference. Have to have the same conversation about, can the Jazz make the play-in or the playoffs with all of these young Lions who, in my opinion, are going to be chomping at the bit to start the NBA season. And get some respect put on their name. Right? Boozer, ready to go for the Wizards. Does that mean that they're going to make the play-in or the playoffs? No. But as Scott Brooks, who's another bright shining example, when you want to stereotype people, say things, to drive ratings, like the Lakers being led by 3 white players, that's okay. We can toss that around, in the culture war, but it's not necessarily helping anybody. We go to and again, Scott Brooks, who's now coaching with the Lakers under J.J. Redick, supporting J.J. Redick, along with Nate McMillan, brought in wisely by Rob Pelinka to have a situation where the Lakers, in J.J. Redick's first 2 seasons coaching basketball, in J.J. Redick's first 2 seasons not coaching youth basketball. He goes from youth basketball to the NBA in the Western Conference, and he's out of the play in both years. That's a huge credit to JJ, and that's a huge credit to his staff, put together by Rob Pelinka, Scott Brooks, and Nate McMillan. Solid NBA coaches. But what Scott Brooks said when he was building up the Oklahoma City Thunder, when they had James Harden, when they had Russell Westbrook, when they had Kevin Durant, which we now see in retrospect, they should have gotten rid of Westbrook and built around Durant and Harden. It's neither here nor there. Didn't like it at the time. Harden has to go because we have to pay Serge Ibaka. James Harden has to go because we have to pay Serge Ibaka. Okay. Again, that must have been an analytics decision. But one of the things that Scott Brooks said is, in those formative years, we're not losing, we're learning how to win. We're not losing, we're learning how to win. Right? We're learning how to win. That's the culture that I see Cam Boozer bringing into Memphis and getting them back on track. AJ, the pride of Brockton. Okay, we already know what this is. What you see is what you get. He's from the city of champions, folks. He's from the city. He don't believe in no days off. You from Brockton. We ain't about them days off, man. We ain't about no excuses here, man. We about getting up and finding a way to get it done, right? We about getting up and finding a way to get this here thing done. We ain't on no excuse. Ain't on no excuse mode. Stop that, man. We waking up and getting things done around here. Okay? So he's bringing it. Boozer's bringing it, confident in that. Caleb Wilson's bringing it, same way he did at UNC. Hurt my heart that he wasn't able to be there in the NCAA tournament, after a strong freshman season. Peterson's going to get on that mode. Wagler, don't sleep on him, and for the Illini breaking through to the Final Four. They just, woo! Right? These they're young, but again, player after player. Mikal Brown at 6, Acuff at 7, Morez Johnson going to play for his coach at 9 to Dallas. Braden Burries out of Arizona, great situation for him. Going to Milwaukee, he's going to get an opportunity early on. Right? These guys, they're showing me, that, woo, they about that life. I don't see a drop off. I don't see a drop off at all. I see these rookies coming in young, talented, and making noise from the start. All right? Making noise from day one. As I said, last dance, we're here so that their player development folks, after the practice, head up to the front office, knock on that door. Knock on that door. I just want to let y'all know, y'all got the draft right. Yeah, that DeBancer, that Boozer, that Wilson, that Peterson, that Wagler, that Brown, that Acuff, that Morez. Y'all got the draft right. That is all. That is all. All right. Okay. Okay. With AJ, you know where he makes his announcement and where he's been since? Because again, AJ, he took his talents outside of the Commonwealth. We've been very happy, he's made the rounds. He's made the rounds since. He has made the rounds since. Right? We get the art. No, we ain't need to do all that. We ain't need to do all that. Okay. We're gonna expand on this. But this is before he was the number one pick. This is the young DeBancer. And he made the announcement from his elementary and intermediate school, K-8, right? After which he took his talents to St. Seb's up in Needham. Took his talents to St. Sebastian. And then from there, took his talents to Prolific Prep. And then from there, took his talents to Utah Prep, and then to BYU, and then to the NBA. But in terms of his public school journey, yeah, that's the Davis School and Brockton. City champions, right? Okay. And so what does AJ do when success comes to meet him? Because again, he's been away from the city for some years. He's still in the Commonwealth that first year hold on. It might have been his first 2 years. St. Seb's might have been freshman, sophomore year. Yeah. And after sophomore year, I got to go. Took his talents to Prolific Prep. Switch grassroots teams. He come up under the Expressions Elite program. Right? Talks a lot about Terrence Clark, and right, this is the fulfillment of Terrence's dream. Terrence wasn't going to be a number one overall pick, but he was one of the first players from the Commonwealth to be ranked top 1, top 2, top 3, in some years. So AJ carrying on that legacy. Right? So he's in the Commonwealth as a freshman, he's as a sophomore, but junior year, he's out, Prolific. Senior year, he's out, Utah Prep. First year college, BYU. He's been gone for a couple years. All right? But now that the success has come around, Of course, the grind has not stopped for AJ. The grind has not stopped whatsoever, but now he's starting to see the fruits of his labor. And what does he want to do? What does he want to do with now that he's seen the fruits of his labor? He wants to share it with the people that knew him before he was, right, the toast of the town. He's coming back to say, hey, Brockton, blue cup, right? I know everybody, it's tough for you to, because I'm just so used to this, having lived in the Commonwealth now. Moved here in late 93? Going on 33 years, been in the Commonwealth, being born in the great state of New Jersey. But folks, we call Brockton the city champions. Rocky Marciano, Marvin Hagler. If you're not, somebody from the South Shore or from the Cape and Islands, you wouldn't know Brockton High School was the largest high school, or one of the largest high schools, 4,000 students east of the Mississippi in America. The Boxers, one of the largest high schools east of the Mississippi in these United States. Okay. It's a blue-collar, hard-nosed, working-class city. Has its ups and has its downs. And so AJ wants to come home and, right, to pick up his city. This stuff means something. It means a lot. Okay, and I know different players, they contribute, they give back in different ways. I understand that. Okay. But the mindset is, yes, I'm having success. I'm not going to get caught up in that current moment, because this is about more than me. This is about more than basketball. Right? You see his parents with him. Family unit, his sister's with him. Okay, this is about more than me. This is about more than basketball. We did this. We are going to continue to do this. We. Okay? And again, just to... It's all sunshine and rainbows now. All sunshine and rainbows. But how about those hour-plus rides to and from prep school? Every day. When he was building. Yeah. Sounds like, right, the Hoop Dream story. A young AG, young Will Gates, to get to and from St. Joe's. Okay, so to get to that point of being the number one overall pick, to sitting in the governor's office, to, right, a bright shining light for your community and for your state. Right? And again, where it started. Brockton City champions making the trip to Needham day in and day out, then relocating out to California, relocating to Utah, 2 years there, and now taking his talents to the Washington Wizards. With hope and expectations. From day one. Brockton, City of Champions. AJ, loyal to the soil. Okay. I think he leads another talented and dynamic rookie class. So, all right, folks, what are we looking at? We getting later on the left coast, and on the East Coast, we are in the smack dab middle of the night. That's what it is. This is when we have time. This is when the time presented itself. So this is when the passion project goes going down. All right. So when I say how's everybody out there in television land doing, I'm really talking to most of the people on the other coast, because on this side, right, people are sleeping, which I get. I get that 100%. We're gonna keep on moving and grooving here on SandCity Sports. And before we move over into okay. All right, let's take a look here. Did the Miami Heat Did the Miami Heat? That's a question. Oh boy. Let's get this art lined up. We are in the late night hours. The plot thickens, folks. You know, now we have I know, Exhibit A, in terms of where LeBron James is going to be taking his talent next, and the final decision is going to come out. And to be made. At first, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, "Wow, it is." I mean, Hold on. Let's get everything right. Okay. Hey. I first saw this and I said, oh man, he's going to Miami, so on and forth. Folks, I don't. This is wagging the dog 101. As far as I'm concerned. Shout out to LeBron. Shout out to his team. How they get down. You want to talk about I'm taking my talents, right? Yet again, we are tuned in, locked in, twists and turns here. This person, you don't know he's going to Golden State. No, he's going to Cleveland. He's going to Miami. No, it's Philadelphia. Right? LeBron James is a master of controlling the narrative. Right? He's a master of it. And now the betting odds favor Miami, and we're going to be locked in, right? On Monday, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen on a Friday. It's going to happen on a Monday, and we're looking here, we're looking there. I feel as though LeBron needs compensation. I feel as though he's entitled to a portion of the WWE revenue. Because these storylines and narratives, I mean, are we going to watch WrestleMania? It's a whole weekend event and all these different matches, and it's, I'm not saying it's on par with the storylines, narratives, plots, intrigue of WWE or wrestling in general, but it's approaching it. For a player that's for a guy, LeBron, he's moving to a quarter century of being in the NBA. So of course he's not going to be the driving force of any of these teams that he's considering, but he could still be a king maker. You put LeBron on Miami under the capable leadership of Eric Spoelstra, all bets are off. Okay, for me, I say to myself, you got LeBron, you got Giannis, you got Bam, fill in the blanks with the other pieces. Eric Spoelstra knows his business, and you're gonna have to because LeBron can still get the job done. No, he can't dominate for 48 minutes, nor does he need to. He needs to dominate for 12 minutes, a quarter. Right? Which is well within his capability. Right? Giannis take the first and second quarter. Bam take the third quarter. I got the fourth. Right? And Spoelstra knows his business. You put LeBron in Miami, they are a championship contender. They can beat any team. And yes, that includes my New York Knicks. It's no slight against my Knicks. You got LeBron, Giannis, and Bam coming at you. Meaning Giannis, I know he's older. Bam, a little bit closer to his prime. But then LeBron, as a facilitator, as the point forward we all know he can be. Additional pieces around them. It's a problem. This Avengers situation didn't work in Los Angeles for whatever reason. I'm looking, LeBron and Giannis. Well, he was playing with Luka. He's with Luka. What's going on? So, hey, I'm saying to myself, twofold. First of all, the best chance for the championship is with Miami. Best chance for the championship is going to be with Miami. I don't think that's a conversation, right? Let's get our screen right. Next, South Beach. You're not necessarily in Los Angeles, major market, but the largest, the Bay Area, you have the tech titans there. So I get that. No, it's nice, but it's different. South Beach, more trendy, more fashionable, all the rest of that stuff. Okay. LeBron goes to Golden State. They're interesting. They're not contenders. He goes to Cleveland. Yes. You're going to tell me Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, LeBron James, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and a bench. You're contenders. You go to Miami. That big three. Still got Wiggins, Wild, point guard out of Baylor. Okay, true point guard. On-ball, great, solid on-ball defender. You fill in the pieces around them, Bradley Beal, Klay Thompson, whoever. LeBron goes to Miami. Miami becomes the toast of the Eastern Conference. Knicks fans, you can let me know what you think. What's going on? I see some folks on the left coast. It's not that late on the left coast. Y'all welcome to jump in. I say LeBron makes Miami a kingmaker in the West. That's what I'm saying. No slight to my New York Knicks. They're just, you're going to say the lineup is Bam at the 5, Giannis at the 4, LeBron at the 3, Wiggins at the 2, Mitchell at the 1. That's the best team in the Eastern Conference. We just went down the line. Knicks would be second, bringing their entire starting 5 back, losing some pieces here and there. Knicks are second on that list. Third in the East is a question, right? Who's our third best team in the East? That's a question. I don't think it's Detroit. Nope. Not the Celtics. Is it Cleveland? I lean Cleveland, experience-wise. Running it back. Toronto on paper, maybe, but we got to see how it's going to work, right? We don't know. Kawhi is a lot like KD, right? You don't know who you're going to get. I don't think that's debatable. We got a Kevin Durant who played 78 games and missed the entire playoffs. You don't know. On paper, Kawhi going to Toronto looks like what KD to Houston could have been. On paper, it looks like that, but we don't know. Okay, so right. Let's take a look here. Oh, we're forgetting somebody. I'm forgetting somebody, not we. The Sixers. Yeah. LeBron goes to Miami. Does that make them better than the Sixers? Seeing I got flies all over the place. I got lettuce. Yeah, gotta straighten some things up. No, LeBron going to Miami does not make them automatically better than the Sixers. When you're talking about Edgecombe and Maxey, Jalen Brown, Wade, 3-and-D guy, and then Embiid. Yes, Embiid's not going to be healthy, but you still have that big three. You got Edgecombe, you got Maxey, you got Jalen Brown, all in their 20s, ready to go. So Edgecombe, Maxey, and Jalen Brown is better than LeBron, Giannis, and Bam. Okay. Young Lions, older Lions. Right? Either or. Either or. All right, you can let me know. We line up the next. Thoughts? So I got the Sixers, the Heat, the Knicks. Right? Sixers, Heat, Knicks. In the East, just go around the world, see what's going on Twitter. How's everybody doing on Twitter? Y'all good on Twitter? Everything's good on Twitter. All right. We on the IG. This is the time for it. YouTube is good. Started off a little rocky on the YouTube. Twitch is good. We're in the building, folks. We're good. Discussing LeBron and the East. LeBron goes to Miami. They're second in the East behind Philadelphia. Ahead of the New York Knicks. That's my 1, 2, and 3. All right. Who do I have at 4? Cleveland's going to be 4. Yes, Cleveland, then Detroit. Detroit will be 5. And then after that, it remains to be seen. Will the Celtics come together? Will Kawhi lead the Raptors? Will Orlando play together? Can Charlotte take the next step? Right? Can Atlanta take the next step? And then my up-and-coming teams that aren't ready, what's going on with Indiana? Did their window open and shut just like that? Whatever the case may be. But again, and in conclusion on this is twofold. I tip my hat to the craftsmanship of one Mr. LeBron James, who is the driving force behind Clutch Sports. Rich Paul does what he does. LeBron James is the driving force behind Clutch Sports. And this premise, that athletes can be Renaissance men. Right? Dominant on the court, top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players all time, dominant in the boardroom. Okay, $billion valuation while currently playing, and then dominant in the culture in terms of crafting and promoting narratives that serve his brand, and essentially LeBron Inc. Okay, this is because whether he goes to Miami, we're talking about it. I'm talking about it, and it's. I just think the fit in Miami works. Like Golden State, it's not that Golden State doesn't work. It would be comfortable. Gets along with Steph, gets along with Draymond, maybe add some other pieces, but they're not going anywhere. Cleveland, I feel there'd be too many chefs in the kitchen. You have Mitchell. You have Harden. Both those guys got to eat. You have Mobley. He's got to eat. You already got 3 people. Maybe Harden becomes more of a facilitator, fine. But with Miami, he's that, it's Giannis, it's Bam, it's Bron. We know Giannis is going to sit out some games and Bron's going to sit out some games so they can navigate, Okay, so it's not always going to be my turn, your turn. Sometimes it's just going to be Giannis isn't playing tonight. Bron, it's your go. Bron's not playing tonight. Giannis, it's your go. Okay, a little bit of less is more in Miami. Don't have the depth of Cleveland, but there's more usage available. And then Philadelphia, there's no usage at all. Okay, and you have underlying, right? LeBron and Embiid have had their issues, knocked them out the air. LeBron and Jaylen Brown have had their issues, right? So Miami works, and more importantly, these continual twists and turns in the LeBron sweepstakes, they work as well. They work as well. Right? Okay. We are the members of the All-American League. We come from city. Orioles 3-1. Break the. No yawning on SandCity Sports. We got Canadians, Irish ones, and Swedes. We're all for one. We're one for all. We're all American. We got to get Jimmy Dugan on the screen. We have to get Jimmy Dugan on the screen, folks. It's a must. All right, so what we learned from baseball, right, among other things, shout out to Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. I mean, you're looking around here in the Commonwealth. I'm not sure if people understand, or I mean, obviously people understand. Sports fans are locked in. We're engaged, and so none of those things are in doubt. But this is a Red Sox team that made moves to build for the future, right? Changes in star players, moved out. Changes in leadership, Alex Cora. Right. Right. Yes. All right. So as far as I'm concerned, everyone in Boston would have been understanding, if the Red Sox didn't win the AL East this year, but showed well, made improvements, gave you some positive momentum for the future. Okay, moved off currently talented players, Rafi Devers. No, it was last year. But to bring in young players who can develop and hopefully get to that next level. Next thing you know, this team reels off 15 in a row. Let's take a look at these standings, folks. All of a sudden, the Red Sox, after winning 15 straight, are 7 games behind the Rays for first place overall. And 4 games in the loss column behind the New York Yankees. Okay. 2 games behind the Guardians and White Sox in the Central. And with a better record than the Rangers in the West. See, they got the Red Sox looking at a wild card berth. You're saying to yourself, like, this team is supposed to be where the Toronto Blue Jays are. Shout out to the Blue Jays, Joe Carter. Yesteryear. At 10 games below 500. So, is the process working much faster than you, I, or anybody can quantify? Is that what we are looking at here? Or is this kind of lightning in a bottle? Is this? Mm-hmm. Right. Let's take a look. We're good. We got the preps. Preps are good. All right. All right. Let's come back to the Red Sox as we move and groove through the late night hours. SandCity Sports by 4. The fans. So, hey, Boston Red Sox, rebuilding, reloading, reestablishing, however you want to frame this. Go ahead and make hay, as I learned, while the sun shines. After this 15-game win streak, they are right there for the wild card. A couple games back, right? Okay, Tampa Bay has established a little bit of a lead. 7 games. Have a few games to go to chase the Yankees, right? But, okay, beyond the surprise of it, you say to yourself, this team and the decisions they've made, moving off of, again, the star players, bringing the young players, let them develop. You can see, right? They have the right guys. Okay. Now, a lot of this momentum, you win, you keep going, so on. All right, and you're not going to always have, or ever have 15-game win streaks in Major League Baseball. But this validates the Red Sox. It validates the vision the Red Sox have. Right? This 15-game win streak is a proof of concept. Right? Are they going to win another 15 games straight, after this? I doubt it. Is any team going to win 15 straight? This is once in a 5, 10, 15, 20. You want to take a look at this. Longest win streaks in Major League Baseball history. All right, but next to that point, for the Red Sox, you're seeing the glimpses of the tough decisions that the teams had to make. And you're saying, we got the right guys. We lost talented players, impactful players, so on and forth. The guys that we have can get it done. Right? And so in a year where there were limited, if any, expectations, Boston Red Sox, and it's not about exceeding expectations, particularly when the expectations are low. It's about the blueprint, i.e. the guys you currently have, and how they continue to progress to put the Red Sox back in World Series contention. Right? So, 15-game win streak. I gotta see here. I gotta take a look at this. Take a look at this. Longest win streak in baseball is 26 games. Happened in 1916. Right, 2017, 10 years ago, the Guardians, then the Indians, won 22 straight. All right, so it's been 7 years? No, not 7. 9. Let's see if I can count. 9 years. Again, about a decade. Right, since we've seen something of this caliber. Goodness gracious. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right. Shout out to Boston. I'm shipping out to Boston. Shipping out to Boston. Okay, let's go around. Let's check on. I know it's late, but hey. Okay, all right. Okay. Gotta touch on the Sox, talk NBA, NFL loading. Late night, SandCity, by for the fans, passion project, all day, every day. Again, being the wee hours on the East Coast. But hey, people might still be up. I might catch some people getting up. Might catch some folks getting up. Right, if you're a fisherman in that line of work, this is when you would be beginning your day, when it's still dark outside, and right, and you want to get out there. That's when the fish are jumping right before sunset. So those folks are in the beginning of their day, but a lot of folks are still getting those extra hours of rest, a very important REM sleep. The brain resets itself, rewires itself for the next journey. And so on and forth. All right, so we got a couple more. We're not going to be done just yet. Okay. NCAA live period finished up. World Cup finished up. España. Winning it all. So I think we'll do a quick, take a look at the World Cup in retrospect, and then we'll get over to Slice of Life. And that's going to be it. Again, hey, SandCity, it's a beautiful thing. Glad to do the passion project and have the opportunity to do said passion project. And I'm loving it. But okay, so this sums it up for me, right? This is the full circle of the World Cup as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we have the eventual champions, España, right, who win their first World Cup since 2010. Unseat defending champion Argentina in an absolute battle, 1-0 in extra time. But the Spaniards came into this World Cup favorite. They had it, #1 ranking, and they play a nation that I know very well, obviously very near and dear to my heart, given the fact that I am Cape Verdean. Okay. You know, my grandmother is first generation, you know, on my mother's side. Grandmother's first generation Cabo Verde. So then my mother is second generation, you know, grandmother, as I just know, the first generation. My grandfather is from the rural South, Little Whiskey, Georgia, small town, about an hour outside of Savannah. All right. So just the point of fact is, you know, when you're talking about Cabo Verde or Cape Verde, you know, you're speaking my language, right? But I have to take a step back and you know, in the general culture, you know, Cape Verde, you know, an island nation off the west coast of Africa, been an independent nation for a little bit over 50 years. No, it's not something that's in the lexicon. If you talk to somebody in Texas or Minnesota or Idaho or Arkansas or Maine, possibly Maine because it's in New England, but says, "Are you familiar with the Cape Verde Islands?" Like, what? You know, unless they have a history, geography background. Like, what? The Cape Verde? What are you talking about? And so, again, this picture, the Spaniards, the favorites, the eventual champions, for them to tie to begin this tournament with Cape Verde, who would go on to make the knockout round, who, you know, as I learned, you know, had players on their team from the Commonwealth, City of Champions in Brockton, right? President of Cape Verde visited the Commonwealth during the early days of the tournament, visited New Beige, right? Where I work, visited Brockton, City of Champions, home of AJ DeBansa. You know, and it was a hopeful, uplifting opportunity. I don't think the odds makers, you know, or many people outside of them envision that this team would be tied 2-2 with Argentina late in the second half. That this team would take Argentina to extra time. Right? But sure enough, they did. Zovenga, the goalie, you know, goes from obscure international player to, you know, highly recognizable and marketable individual. It's just tremendous. Now, on the other side for España, deserving champions, right? And when the rubber met the road, for me, a lot of it goes to the semifinal round. Clearly, it was, the championship against Argentina. That was the zenith. But to take France out of their game, right? This is the 2 and the 3 in the world, right? So you're talking about, unstoppable force versus the movable object type of a situation. But for Spain to decisively win that match, that, right? They're no paper champs. And clearly they played the best teams, they beat the best teams, they're deserving. But that match against France, where we did not have a back and forth like we would see, in the third place match between France and England, where England jumps out to a 4-0 lead in the first half. France storms all the way back. It makes it competitive, right? The France-Spain, the France-Spain match, Spain won decisively. And France, an incredibly talented team, arguably the best player on the planet, and Mbappe, they just didn't have answers. So that said to me, this team is the cream of the crop. This team is a deserving champion on the biggest of big stages. So awesome and tremendous. And then for the journey for Spain to begin with a tie against Cabo Verde, allowing this tiny island nation to put themselves on the map and launch their World Cup, launch, their World Cup journey. Super cool, right? I think this solves for basketball your apron problem. Nobody had a problem with France being the dominant team and Cape Verde being an also-ran. Nobody had a problem with that. France didn't need to give up 3 or 4 players because of a second apron violation. We're good with them having all their good players and playing against a country of 500,000 people and seeing what happens. And maybe they lose 10-0, or maybe they tie 0-0. But that's the way the cookie crumbled, and so there you go. Right? Right? So maybe we can reference this for the basketball people. You can have your Goliaths, you can have your Davids, and end of the day, it all works out. All right. So SandCity, we're in the building. It's about time for Slice of Life. Late night episode. This is going to be one, I get it. Most people. Right? Most people. But this person. Okay. So let's get in our slice of life, and that's gonna then we'll mosey on out of here. This has been a beautiful thing. Thankful for all those that checked in. Happy to be here, folks. Let's get in our slice of life. Let's go. Let's get into it. Your boy is here. Lego.
You know what? It changes, man. I don't know.
You being someone this close and knowing him the way you do, the way you see his body move, the things he has to go through mentally now as an older player, like, what is your real thought?
I think body-wise, 5.
Yeah. Thank you. I said 4, but 5.
Well, to me, it's mine, though.
Yeah. Mind-wise,
10.
Understanding how to play the game mind-wise, forever.
Life.
Forever, yeah.
Right. Mind-wise as it pertains to frustration or
missing his son's games.
Yeah, and or just like, man, I had enough, missing time with his family, with his wife. They've been unbelievable.
They once.
Yeah, support system.
Yeah.
At some point,
come on, man.
It got to be about them.
It got to be about them. And I think from that perspective, maybe 2 to 3.
How many more years you think Bron got?
You know what? It changes, man. I don't know.
You being someone this close and knowing him the way you do, the way you see his body move, the things he has to go through mentally now as an older player, like, what is your real thought?
I think body-wise, 5.
Yeah. Thank you. I said 4, but 5.
Well, to me, it's mine, though.
Yeah. Mind-wise,
10.
Understanding how to play the game mind-wise, forever.
Life.
Forever, yeah.
Right. Mind-wise as it pertains to frustration or
missing his son's games.
Yeah, and or just like, man, I had enough, missing time with his family, with his wife. They've been unbelievable.
They once.
Yeah, support system.
Yeah.
At some point,
come on, man.
It got to be about them.
It got to be about them. And I think from that perspective, maybe 2 to 3.
How many more years you?
Yeah, clearly. I see Rich Paul's point. It also needs to be noted that, LeBron's kids, are in and out of college, right? Bronny's done with school. Bryce going to be done with school. Zuri, his daughter, is kind of coming up through the ranks, and you want to be there. But I kind of tend to lean more 5 just because they've, shout out to the James family. LeBron, Sabrina, he talks about Savannah being with him since Steakums, right? Savannah been with him since Steakums. And so, he's not going to go against that, so to speak. And the people that have been with him from the absolute beginning. Okay. And, in this, we do have to go ahead and get the art that kind of corresponds with that, because we have that, and then we'll come right on back to Slice of Life. But that's why Rich makes all his point. It does need to be about his family and spending time with them. But because of how his family has grown, it's really going to just be his daughter that is coming up through the ranks. Well, not that that's not insignificant, right? You might want to be there. But I'm just saying that this family can find a way for him to be there for his daughter as she goes through her formative years, while continue to be a professional basketball player. And we are going to come back to Slice of Life, but on this point, there is, there is a through line, a direct through line, in terms of LeBron and what he continues to do in the state of Ohio, the I Promise school, right? And how he kept, well within his right, he kept his apartment. He grew up in. Right? By the way, this is the apartment that he would move to before his junior year. Yeah, because he and his mom were moving back and forth and didn't always have a long-term living situation, right? And LeBron is able to move into a nice apartment. I believe it's his junior year. It might have been his sophomore year. And have that stability. And then, of course, you might remember, as a senior, he has a Humvee, worth $100,000, so on and forth. Again, this is pre-NIL, pre-player empowerment. People in Ohio stomp their feet. He's suspended for a game, which I believe is the only game they lose his senior year. The powers that be intervene and say this is insanity. He's reinstated to the team. Then he moves forward, right? So, again, LeBron, who ushers in the player empowerment movement and the NIL revolution, because, again, that legislation was signed on LeBron's platform, The Shop, by Gavin Newsom, opening up the floodgates that have completely transformed college sports. Let's remember that. And also remember that same individual was suspended for a game his senior year because he happened to reap the benefits of his remarkable fame vis-a-vis that Humvee worth over $100,000, which was purchased well within the rules. Purchase was made, I believe, by his mother. The company allowed, his mother to have the, she satisfied the requirements to have the Humvee. LeBron's her son. He's on the insurance. He can drive the Humvee. He can drive the Humvee, period, end story. Okay, when you're LeBron James and you're, a senior in high school and going to be the number one pick in the NBA draft and on your way to being one of the greatest basketball players to ever live, yeah, you will be extended credit that Joe Schmo, i.e. me, is not going to be extended. You can have a black card as LeBron James as a senior in high school. People will and be good for every penny of it. All right, but that rationale was not allowable. And so he's suspended for the one game his senior year. And now we look back at that as what? As the outlandishness that it was. So I think he can play 5 years. I think he's got it down in terms of what he does as a professional and being a strong father at home for his family. Okay. Let's see. All right. Let's continue to go to Slice of Life. And I got to get the right clip for Slice of Life as we move on and on to the crack of dawn. All right, so let's get back over there. Finish this episode strong. SandCity, by for the fans. Let's go. Let's get it. All right, folks. So we're going to check in with the preps who were working hard this last weekend. Concluded the live period, right, concluded the live period for the 2026 school year. So that's over, so that the folks can secure their rankings for the next school year. So there's a tournament at the Dana Barros facility in Stoughton, which is a first-rate facility that Dana Barros runs. And let's see how it went. This is my cousin's son. Josh Jr. And he plays for the Dana Barros Gladiators. And they were hooping. Dana Barros Gladiators were hooping. Hey. Some of the other players. A lot of and-one, summer basketball, big boy basketball. Hey. Junior over here. Man down, man down. A lot of and-ones. Basket. Yeah.
Down. Yeah, boy.
A lot of and-ones. All right, we get the point. Yeah, live period, Dana Barros Gladiators. Doing their thing. Let's keep it going. Let's see how the other Utes are doing during the live period. Let's head to the UA circuit. Ethan Gomez, 15. What's going on? Hey. You know he's pulling, man. Get up. Get up. Get up. Drive him off the 3-point line. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Hey. So that's the U15s. That's the freshmen. The freshmen. Yes, indeed. All right, let's take a look at the 17s on the Under Armour circuit. The 17s. Oh, yeah.
What happens when the only undefeated team on the Under Armour circuit plays against the best defensive team on the circuit in the 17U championship? It all comes down to this. Team Thrill, looking to perfect their season, took on We Are One in front of a packed out crowd, and it would end up coming down to the wire. We Are One got things going early with a bucket from Sincere Folk and a fast break jam from Shakur Starling. But it was their defense that was unbelievable in the first quarter. They kept Team Thrill scoreless for the first 7.5 minutes of the game, but eventually 4-star Darrell Davis got points on the board. We Are One carried their momentum into the second quarter, and a couple threes from Marshall Bailey helped them extend their lead. Team Thrill got a couple more buckets on the other end, but we'd enter halftime with a shocking score of 19-10. In the third quarter, Team Thrill finally got some offense going with Darrell heating up, but every time they scored, We Are One responded. Sincere started cooking, and they'd enter the final quarter up 10, just 8 minutes away from becoming UA8 champs. He then broke out the jelly to start the fourth, and a couple drives later, he got to the rack for another score, but Team Thrill kept themselves in it just enough to make things interesting. They're down 9 with 40 seconds left. Darrell then pulls up from deep and drills it. Team Thrill then gets a quick foul, and both free throws are missed. Darrell then comes down and hits another three, so all of a sudden, it's a one-possession game with 20 seconds left. There's then a dead ball foul on We Are One, so Team Thrill would get the ball back with a chance to tie it. Darrell gets an open look. He puts it up, but it's just off the mark. We Are One gets the rebound, and moments later become your 2026 17U UAA champs. What happens when the only undefeated team on the Under Armour circuit plays against the best defensive team on the circuit in the 17U championship?
Telling you, this energy, the energy surrounding the live period, that's the fire. That's the fire that, you know, these young folks can carry them, you know, the rest of the journey. Right? That's that fire that you have. You know, and it's just got to be cultivated and maintained. Right? On all levels, you're competing for your team, you're competing for your rankings. Just all those things come together. And so, shout out to We Are One, UAA champs. We will get the champions on the other circuit. During the next episode. Staying with the preps, folks. A couple more before SandCity heads off for the. This is the Nike circuit. They got fans, they got cheering seconds. Stars of Tomorrow. And again, it's a fine line, right? Because it's a long journey. These Utes, they gotta maintain that zest for the entirety of the journey. It's not about who's the top ranked freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, right? It's about who can make it to the NBA draft. All right, DeMarcus Henry, Devin Cleveland. Again, the DYDL. All right. Stars, Vegas Elite. And this is the grind, right? The grind of, I just tune in for the highlights. I don't see all the, you don't see the travel and late nights, early mornings, being on the road, having to conduct yourself on the road. So the best and brightest, they were out there the last 2 weeks, putting the work in. Okay, so respect, and they're learning the business side of it early on. All right, our Summer League first team, again, this class, Wilson, Boozer, we know. Braden Burry's out of Arizona. Yaxel, we got a chance to meet. National championship. Malik Thomas, people might not know. Second round pick. But he was a Pete's Jam star. Top 5 in his class. Played for the New York Lightning. So he's going to a team where he's got a lot of guys to learn from. He's not going to be able to get a chance to play right away. But he can certainly learn and continue to build himself up. He played for Cal. Down there in Arkansas with A Cuff. All right, second team, some guys making a name for themselves. Okay, Maluk. All right, sophomore. I like it. Coward and a sophomore going into his second season. Okay, so a lot of these guys having the first NBA season, right? And they're going to put the time in Summer League to build themselves up. Okay. For success in the next go round. Love to see it. So all those different levels, right? The preps, the stars of tomorrow, okay? And then the ones that have been inducted into that elite fraternity, the NBA, and hey, they're going through the process now to establish themselves, for long and successful careers. Right? So it's a beautiful thing. Hey, folks. SandCity. I'm your favorite artist on Andre King. Thank you so much. Late night episode of SandCity Sports. We had time. We have the project. This is going down to that direction.